What's up, enchanted ones? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on the video. If you are new here, I'm Danielle. Welcome. So I wanted to make this quick video about working your spells when you're working your candle spells, and how you don't have to just let your candles, burn any kind of way. Like if you notice your candle isn't burning clean, or you notice that after you've burned your candle that you have obstacles and blockages in the work, like you can see it in the candle wax remains, you have signs and things that there are blockages, like there are mountains or mounds, it didn't burn clean, that sort of thing. You don't have to just leave that as is. You can work the candle as it's burning if you can, like if you're noticing build up on the side, and this is excluding a poorly made candle issues, burning issues that come from poorly made candles and off-center wicks and things like that. Because you will notice the more candles you burn, some candles, certain dyes, it's like you'll never get a clean burn. Certain colors just won't burn clean, and I attribute it to the dye, because I'll have the same candle in a different color, by the same company, and it'll burn clean. So I'm thinking, okay, what's the dye? It's like I never get a clean burn with certain candles. So that aside, that not being one of the issues, if you're noticing it's the energies, the buildup, it's something that's going on, you can always work with the candle, work with the wax, burn it down, help the candle out basically as it's burning or after it's burned, to work the candle. And that's part of the magic. So like if I get a buildup on the side of my glass candles, and of course practicing fire safety and lighter safety and all of that, I will burn the wax down, to make the candle burn clean. If I'm burning a freestanding candle and after it's burned, I notice that I've got mountains and blockages and things in the candle wax, I will anoint the candle wax with roll opener oil, and then I'll burn it down, I'll melt it down, and I'm working on it, and I'm saying, I'm putting my intention to it, that I'm burning away this obstacle and I'm removing this obstacle. And then afterward, I'll do a reading to see, okay, do I need to do an additional spell, or is the spell work that I just did on the remains or working with the candle as it was burning, is that enough? Was that enough? Was that the extra boost and extra energy that I needed? And sometimes I do need to do a spell, and sometimes I don't. But you don't have to just be at the mercy of a candle. I remember a conjure woman sharing that bit of wisdom with me years ago. You don't have to just let things happen while it's burning. Now, of course, if you're trying to read the candle and you don't want to interfere, then naturally let it burn and just see what, you're reading the signs and seeing what's going on. But if you're reading the signs and it's like, okay, you already know what's up, or you just don't want to let it go on, you can always work with the candle, work the wax, and work the remains, to get a more favorable burn. And then again, if you do a reading, you can do an additional reading, like a card reading, a pendulum, or anything, whatever your method of choice is, to see, do I need to burn an additional candle or do some additional spell work? It doesn't necessarily have to be your candle spell. Do I need to do some additional work, or was that extra work that I did enough? And another thing too, if you're noticing that your flame is burning low, you don't have to be at the mercy of a low burning flame or an erratically burning flame, because sometimes you'll get that. But let's stick with the low burning flame. Like, okay, if you're seeing that, you can one, is a sign that your energy the spell doesn't have a lot of power behind it. So you want to put more intention and attention to the candle, because it could just be that you haven't put enough energy in it, you didn't charge it enough, you're not spending enough time with the candle, working it and putting your energy into it, and doing your magic. It's not, when you're working a magic candle, it's not just, I'm just gonna light it and that's it. You do your things before and you do your things during. I mean, sometimes you can get away excuse me, with just charging your candle up and dressing it and doing all of the things to prepare it, and then light it and then just let it burn, and you'll get favorable results. But that's not how all candle spells go. That's not how all situations go, where you can just light it and that's enough and it's still gonna work. Sometimes you have to work that candle. You have to come back to it. You have to spend time with it, putting more energy into it. And so if you have a low burning flame, start out by putting more energy into it. If adding more oil isn't going to drown out the wick, you can always add more oil. Excuse me, burning stuff out here. You can add more oil. You can add more herbs if that's not going to interfere with the wick and, you know, catch things on fire or anything like that. If adding more oil is going to drown out the wick, then you can always add oil to the candle itself. You know what I'm saying? The outside of the candle, even if it's a glass candle, or if that doesn't resonate with you, you can always take an herb, take like a bay leaf, or take and you could use bay leaf for this period, because bay leaf, you know, is a good booster because it's about success and victory, and so it's a good boost for any spell. So you can anoint a bay leaf and set that under a glass candle to add some energy to it, or just a bay leaf unanointed just to add some energy to it. You can put a petition and put your oil on that and set that under the candle. If it's a glass candle, or if you have, or set it on a plate and add your herbs around it. You know, you could put a little bit of oil in your hand and put the herbs in your hand, rub the oil, you know, get the energy going, and rub the herbs in your hand and sprinkle it around the candle that's sitting on a plate. If you know you've already got the candle burning and you don't want to blow it out and you're just trying to work the candle, those are some things that you can do for a low burning flame. If you have an erratic flame, first of all, look at the wick, because sometimes it's just the wick is crazy. You didn't trim it enough, and that's why it's going all over the place. And of course, check for drafts. Always check for the mundane first. You know, don't just immediately go to the magic, because there are poorly made candles. There are candles where you know, again, the dye just, it's not gonna burn clean, and or it's the wax isn't that high of a quality, or the wick is off center, or you know, it's just not a good candle. If you've got drafts, always rule out the mundane things. But when you're dealing with a magical thing, and you know that flame is just dancing like that, and it's not a flicker. Flickers are okay, you know, little flickers here and there. But when it's erratic, that means you've got interference. Something is interfering with the spell. It's not helping the spell. It's interfering, and your spell is fighting it. So, you know, work that spell. Come to it. Give your energy to it. Add a different element. You may need to add a you know, different herb. Add some salt to combat whatever it is that's trying to interfere with your spell work. And you can always light helper candles or booster candles and things of that nature. So, and that can work for both the low burning flame and an erratically burning flame, because if something's interfering, then okay, getting some extra help on your end can combat that. And if you've got a low burning flame, having an extra candle will lend its power. You know what I'm saying? Witch's brew, if you have that, there's a formula in the Conjure cookbook that I base my witch's brew off of, and I don't think I ever made a witch's brew oil. I think I just made made something in the moment, and I didn't make a long-term oil or what have you. But witch's brew is something, that particular recipe anyway, in the Conjure cookbook, which is a good book that I definitely recommend, which has recipes for whatever. Basically, it's the herbs and the different things that you need, and it's no measurements or anything like that for the recipe, because it's for you to tweak whether you're making, because you would need a different ratio if you were making an oil versus you know, a powder versus you know, a sachet or bath salt or whatever it is that you're making. So they don't do measurements or anything like that. That's for you to figure out, but the formula is there. And so it's just a good workbook. Well, not workbook, it's a good and it's not actually a cookbook, but it's just a good recipe book. It's a formulary basically for conjure oils. So, you know, that's a good book to have. I think it's by Talia Fox, but the Witch's Brew recipe in there is designed to boost any spell. It just adds power. So that's something that you could do. You could have a Witch's Brew candle. You could have a separate candle where, you know, you formulated, I only like this candle when the spell I'm working on needs some help. It needs a boost. And then again, there are herbs and different things that you can add to help with the boosting. And it doesn't have to just be herbs. You could also work with different energies. If you're noticing that you're getting a weak or an erratic burn, you could burn during certain planetary hours, burning on certain days, depending on what's going on, what's interfering, or, you know, what's going on, to get the energy that you need. So like for a low burning flame, you could work that candle on a Thursday to get that Jupiter energy, that energy of expansion. If you've got something interfering, you could burn it, that candle, you know, on a Saturday or on a Tuesday, or during the Mars planetary hour or the Saturn planetary hour, to help bring in, you know, some defense, that Saturn defense, that warrior energy of, you know, whatever's interfering back up off of me, that shielding energy. So yeah, I didn't want to make this video that long, but those are some tips for working your spells, working your candle magic, and, you know, getting the most out of your magic, getting the most out of your materials too, especially with, okay, you've got a candle and you've seen unfavorable signs in the wax, and you anoint, you know, like I was saying, when I had mounds, and this happened several times when I burned candles. Sometimes you just get obstacles, you know, things are in the way. That's why you're working the spell in the first place, because something's going on. And, you know, you'll get those remains where you've got the little mountains, you've got the humps and everything, and I anoint them with road open oil and I melt them down. So you're using the most, and that's another spell. You know, so you're getting the most out of your magic, the most out of your materials, and sometimes that is enough, you know. So those are some tips on getting the most out of your magic, boosting your spell work, working your magic, working your candle spells. So thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, comment, let me know what are some ways that you know, boost your spells or work your spells when you're noticing things aren't burning how you want them to go. You know, let me know in the comments. Let us know in the comments, because that helps. You know, there's always more than one way to skin a cat. So my way isn't the only way, and I like to learn y'all ways too, and, you know, we can all learn from each other. So let me know in the comments section. Again, subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.